Okay. Blessings. Hope everybody's doing well. Here we go. I am going live. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Just wanted to jump on here and give you guys an update for those of you all. 2026 is now upon us. 2025 has come and gone. And I wanted to just talk about some things that are really kind of ramping up very quickly, in the natural that have been spoken about in the realm of the spirit. And so because of that, there's obviously some things that are upon the horizon that we need to be attentive to. And that's what I wanted to come on here and talk about today. There's a lot of things right now. It's so hard to kind of determine where the markets are going to be today or tomorrow. Because of all of the craziness that is occurring. However, that's actually the point. That's what was prophesied, and that's what we have been preparing for. And so today, I think it was this morning now, you had two Venezuelan oil tankers seized by the United States. One of them was flying Russian flags. Supposedly, it was a shadow vessel of sorts where it was pretending to be, I guess, Russian in order to disguise the Venezuelan oil transportation. Now, here's the thing, guys. There's probably a lot of people that know more about this than myself. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to get into all of the, how China and Russia are connected with Venezuela and all these different things. But I'm going to touch on some of these things for good reason. If people want to chime in the comments and give their, history lessons, that's entirely up to them. But those types of things don't necessarily interest me as much as the nuts and bolts, because there's a lot that's taking place since Venezuela's ghost president. We're calling it a ghost ship, right? So we'll call Maduro the ghost president, or illegitimate as many claim. And here's the thing: I'm not. I say as they claim because I believe in what they are saying. However, I'm not here to make a judgment on that. So I'm going to use the words, loosely. If many people are not okay with that because you're just so stubbornly opinionated, well, this might not be the place for you, because I'm not going to be able to tickle your, your fancy there. However, there's a lot of things that are operating on the horizon that we need to be in prayer for. One of the things that is very evident and something that's kind of been burning on my heart that I'm going to talk to you guys about is this. Let me pull it up here. I've got a lot of tabs open because I wanted to share some things with you guys tonight. Hopefully you guys are in this for the long haul. This right here is a video of the ICE shooting today. This woman was seen. This is a video breaking
This
down.
vehicle in the middle of the road with its tires facing left. Now watch what happens as this car goes around her. The car moves up. This tells me, and I'm speculating, that this woman is trying to block the road from ICE vehicles. We've seen people do this over and over. This prompts the ICE agents to get out to arrest the woman.
No! No! Shame! Shame! Oh my God! What the? What the? You just? What the? You do?
The woman driving was killed. So let's back up. First off, we do get the briefest of glances of the woman here, when she tells them to go around, after she almost just hit the last car that did so. Let's locate all the officers near the vehicle. 1, 2, and the officer to obviously look out for, 3. We're going to slow this way down and watch what happens. The front tires spin. The officer draws his weapon. Now this is important. Where do the tires go? Right now, at this moment, as the car creeps forward, the tires are directly aimed at the officer. The shot is fired here. Where is the officer? It's not ideal here to tell. Maybe you can make an argument from this angle that he could have just stepped out of the way. So let's now look at another angle. I don't think there's any question that the woman hit him here, if only just grazed him. But I'm sorry to say, you cannot do that. So was this shooting justified?
All right. So, you know, here's the thing, guys, is this killing today by ICE agents defending themselves from a attempted vehicular homicide is completely legitimate when it involves normal police. These are cases that are seen and heard all the time. But unfortunately, because they're ICE agents and there's this big political rift occurring right now, it's causing a lot of people's perspectives to be contaminated. And there's also another. Here's one right here. It's a good example of the double-mindedness or the hypocrisy that is occurring. On January 10th, on January 10th, 2025, the Biden-Harris administration put a $25 million bounty on Nicolas Maduro for information leading to his arrest or conviction. So the Biden-Harris administration put a $25 million bounty on this guy. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, the tables have turned and these people are attacking President Trump for basically enforcing what the Biden-Harris administration had done. Now, the reason I'm sharing this stuff with you is because it's like, you know, we all know what is occurring in the political climate of our country. Unfortunately, though, you know, a lot of people, I think, are kind of missing what's actually occurring. Everybody is like, you know, that's my president, right? Everybody is very supportive of a lot of the things that Trump is doing if you are pro-Trump. You know, people are saying that's what I voted for. That's my president, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And while that is wonderful to, you know, to maintain that position for people who believe that, you have everybody on the other side of the equation that is just completely, it doesn't matter what he does. If he sneezes, he did it wrong, or what have you, or he had the wrong motives when he did it, or what have you. And it's just, unfortunately, it's becoming further and further of a divide amongst the people in this country. And because of that, I think people are going to be taken, you know, kind of caught off guard. Like we have too much of a, and I'm guilty as well, guys. I post different things. I made a post recently about, you know, congratulations to the new president of Venezuela, and it was a picture of Trump with a dark brown mustache, you know, etc. And then, you know, the new Venezuelan bird, you know, and with that looked like the orange. Anyway, it was pretty funny. And these things were funny. The problem is that I want to be balanced at the same time. And I want to be sure to share with you guys that there is a need to be balanced in this season, because there are things that are occurring right before us, and we can't sit here and be comical, cynical, critical, political, in the sense of just being funny or making jokes or memes, or because it's like, you know, it's causing us to lose a bit of a sense of reality here, because there's a lot going on here. You know, when an individual's encounter with ICE agents, you know, where she is killed, unfortunately, you know, it's a tragic event that we should be, you know, understanding is just not good, no matter which side of the fence you're on. And, you know, there are real problems in our society, and we really have to be prayerful in addressing a lot of these things, and also to not be ignorant and naive to see what's taking place. There are a lot of things that have been prophesied. Number one, war. Okay. I'm going to pull up for you really quickly, and I'm going to try not to get ahead of myself, but oh, here it is actually. Hold on. Remember what I said, balance, guys. So I got no problem sharing with you the new bird of Venezuela. So now you get it, right? Now you get it. All right. So anyhow, it was up on my screen, so I figured I'd go ahead and give it a shot. But but watch this. I want to show you guys a really cool video, guys. Before I get into the other stuff, let me just put in some glory of God on this matter. I want you guys to watch this video with me. This is just, to me, demonstrates the glory of God. Watch this with me, guys. This video is just incredible. Ready? I got to be ready first, apparently.
Dancing. He said even the birds are dancing.
Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
What is it, all creatures? They
That's awesome. Wow.
It's like literally like a show and stuff.
I will be content. Every circumstance.
Oh, they're going away.
And they all just went to trees.
They all dancing like crazy.
I know that.
Wow, that was amazing.
Making them birds dance.
And then they went over to those trees.
That was such a powerful video. I could watch that probably 6 or 7 more times. God is just absolutely incredible. And it's amazing how, you know, those birds were absolutely dancing with angelic assistance for sure. Let me just keep going so I can just get some of these tabs closed out, guys. I want to share this with you real quick. This was an article about a Catholic influencer, Paul Kim's son, age 5, dies after this horrific case of the flu that's going around. I just want to point this out, man, because, I know, and here's the thing is everybody, everybody has an opinion. We did this in 2020. It's really sad too, because half the country was like, it's just the common cold. And the other half of the country was like, everybody's going to die. And there was no in between. And I felt like, I'm sure it's not true, but I felt like I was one of those few people that was like, no, this is not normal. This is mutated. It's grown in a lab. This is not the common cold. This is some crazy stuff. One of my barbers, she actually still cannot drink most sodas because after getting COVID, it tastes like Pine Sol to her. And, it's just like some of the stuff that has occurred to people's bodies because of this mutated virus. Listen, I get so frustrated because I just don't know why people are so, well, I do know why. And I don't want to spend too much time here, attacking people and their opinions, but I just want to urge you guys, the viewers, my small audience, to just be a bit more flexible, compassionate, considerate, people were being mocked because they were driving down the road in their car alone wearing a mask, when people were like, what do you think that's going to do? And it's like, you don't know what that person is dealing with health-wise. Maybe they're just scared for their life because they have some sort of autoimmune disease that you don't have. And it's like, I really want to urge the world to just be a little bit less political. All right. So anyhow, and I was with some of those comments and some of those remarks, guys. I understand. But however, I felt like the Lord grabbed my attention and was like, hey, let me show you another way of looking at this. So yeah, I just have a feeling that this flu going around right now is another version. Here's another example. Fox News, healthy 16-year-old girl dies from flu complications. Doesn't make sense, the article says. It doesn't make sense, the article says. I'm telling you guys, listen, before now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because it was prophesied that children would be the target of the next virus, the next pandemic, that it would target children. That's why I'm showing you children who died, articles, one of them saying this doesn't even make any sense. This girl was perfectly healthy. Okay. Here's the other thing. Man, Facebook is such a drag. I'm having such problems with Facebook right now. And of course, I just decided to terminate the broadcast in one of my Facebook locations. But it's just Facebook is quirking out on me right now. But here's what I want to share with you guys. Oh, sorry. Facebook actually removed my video, is what they're telling me right now. My gosh. These people are nuts. Hold on. These people are crazy. We removed your video. This video. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. These people are nuts. Okay. Their reason was completely unrelated to anything that I've even talked about. So let me go ahead and yeah, man, I'm telling you, I just feel like I did a video the other day and I said, I feel like Facebook is shadow banning me. I really do. Like I can't do anything. Like all of my stuff is just being weird. And then guess what? They just did that to my video. But watch this, guys. Hold on. This is goofy. Goofy, goofy, goofy. Okay. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. They added restrictions to my account. These people are crazy. Look at this. I told you this was happening. Didn't I tell you this was happening? These people are nuts. Just absolutely nuts. All right. So check this out. Leave me alone, Facebook. It says Prophet MJ, okay, Madeline James. Things to keep in prayer. Things to keep in prayer for 2026. Pray for America's economy. Pray for Trump's health. Pray for America. War is at the door. Pray against terrorist attacks in America. Their eye is on America. Attacks are getting more sophisticated. Pray every plot and plan be exposed. Pray for England. Transition is coming. Pray against the spirit of suicide. Similar and new viruses being released. Now, I want to tell you about this, guys. I remember Apostle Stidham had released a word about December, talking about how depression was going to try to attack people in the month of December. And she's saying for 2026, pray against the spirit of suicide. So be aware of this. It's like, it would seem to me as though there would be demons that were released, into the earth during this time. This is a real thing. It's biblical. Scripture says in the last days, darkness shall cover the earth and deep darkness its people. So it's synonymous with the last days. And declare Psalm 91. Okay. Remember this. Pray for Trump's health. Charlie Shamp said that he saw his heart, that we need to pray for his heart. Brandon Biggs said the same thing. Pray for Trump's heart. Okay. And Apostle Stidham said the same thing at his New Year's Eve service. He said that he saw that it would try to be an opportunity where they would try to say he wouldn't be fit or something of that nature. Pray for his health, guys. Pray for President Trump's health. Pray for our economy. Okay. There are prophetic words about things, the shakings that are coming. We just talked about in our last broadcast about what Apostle Giles said for the first quarter of 2026, the markets would be shaken. Guys, we need to pray about these things. Okay. Pray against terrorist attacks in America. There was actually a hold on just a second. Man, they put a notification on every single one of my open tabs. I'm just having to close all these suckers out. Sorry about this, guys. I got that song stuck in my head. Gyra, which is a good song to have stuck in your head, that's for sure. Oh, here it is. Okay, this was a New Year's Eve plot, a New Year's Eve terrorist attack thwarted. FBI calls on the public to remain vigilant while announcing how an alleged ISIS-inspired terror attack on the New Year's Eve was thwarted in North Carolina. This was like, we've had several terror attacks thwarted, guys, several, which I can only attribute the prayers of the saints, because many of you guys have followed prophetic people and what has being prophesied, and you've gone into prayer like we have, asking that God would begin to thwart many of the things, not yet any of the things that the prophets of God are prophesying. Let me pull this up real quick. This is a prophetic dream that happened last night, guys. Prophet MJ again. Many of you guys will probably recognize the familiarity of this. In the dream this morning, I was observing the scene like it was a movie. My husband and I were in a big city in America. We were getting into the car to go out to our next destination. My husband tried to start the car, but it was somehow disabled. I asked my husband if someone had come into the car and done something while we were out. I checked the back seat, but nobody was there. I started to notice there were others standing outside their cars with their arms up in the air because their cars were not working as well. Suddenly, in the dream, I had a knowing that America had been hit by an EMP attack. Okay? When an EMP attack occurs, it affects the power grid, electronics, communication, transportation. It would shut down America or the affected areas. I don't share this to incite fear, but to elicit continued prayers for our nation. We live in a different time, and warfare looks different than it has in years past. Things are advancing quickly. There's a lot of movement going on right now in the nations. There have been several words and prayer points released by others over the past couple of years to pray for our power grids and such. Let's continue to watch, pray, and prepare. Guys, if you remember, Brandon Biggs was another man of God who released words such as this. Watch this here. This happened over the holidays. I even posted and said that the article is worse than the headline. Air traffic controllers in Greece said all frequencies were suddenly lost and that they could not communicate with aircraft in the sky. You and I both know that there has been, I'm talking crazy amounts of issues lately with choppers and jets and commercial planes crashing and all sorts of craziness occurring with aircraft. And this is a prime example. And if you read the article on this, it is, as I captioned it, the article is much worse than the headline. So, you know, there is a lot going on, guys. These things were prophesied. Okay. Prophets have said that there would be, planes falling from the sky is what they had visions of, and obviously to be in prayer concerning that. This is Trump says U.S. is locked and loaded if Iran kills peaceful protesters. Okay. I had shared what Apostle Stidham said at the 2025 New Year's Eve crossover service. I guess it would be 2026. I don't know what to label that. Just a few days ago. And he prophesied that in 2026, he saw that we would be in 3 wars at the same time, that the U.S. would be fighting 3 wars at the same time. Okay. You guys know there's a lot going on right now. And And so it's nothing to play with. Give me 1 second. I'm just closing tabs as I keep going. Facebook telling me we removed your video. No kidding. So stupid. So, terrorist attacks, guys. A lot of this was prophesied. We really need to be praying over these things. Oh, they restored my video. I requested a review. I requested a review of my video, and they just restored my video. I hope that my account restrictions are done as well. These people are crazy. So anyway, all right. Thank you guys for those who were praying. Let's see. Pray for Trump's health. Pray for America's economy. These are prayers for 2026. Pray against the spirit of suicide. Listen, if anybody wants, prayer for these things, obviously, it's important to reach out and just, if you know someone who ministers in the area of deliverance or just prayer. This is 45 states are experiencing high or very high levels of flu activity. Okay, I had shared this, but this is the key thing about this, guys. When I got the flu this year, I posted on Facebook, this is not normal. This is not normal. And this was before any of this data came out. It was before the CDC said that there's a new strand of flu type A virus, which is what I tested positive for, flu type A. And and I said, this is crazy stuff. This is not normal. And then, of course, the CDC comes out and says there's this new crazy strand of flu A, and it's the worst flu season that we've ever had, is now what they're saying. The hospitals are being filled up, all across the country. It's just crazy. I got people on my Facebook friends list posting pictures of their children on a breathing machine. Their cough, how bad it is. And it's just ridiculous. And I know you're going to have all the critics out there that are like, we've had the flu before. I know. I get it. I know. The problem is I'm not ignorant because I told you that before I knew any of this information, I had none of that to go off of. I posted on Facebook and said, this is not normal. So that is not, me reading a tabloid and then being motivated by the news. People are crazy. All right. So, all right, that's done. So I had shared this. This is the Russian, the Venezuelan oil tanker, they say, that had Russian flags, despite Russia deploying a submarine and warships to protect the oil tanker Bella 1. U.S. airborne forces began helicopter landings on the vessel minutes ago. And so this is, we're just basically kind of like in your face with Russia. By the way, it's one of the countries that was prophesied that would be responsible for the EMP. That's what Brandon Biggs said. Now, watch this. This is Maduro, literally hours before he was arrested or captured, where a Chinese government official visited with him at the presidential palace. Now, here's the crazy part. Okay? I have questions because I have questions. You know what? Let me see if I can actually restore this stream to this other destination. Let's see what happens. Maybe not. I'm not going to try to worry about it. But my question is this. Maduro made the announcement. I remember posting this. Maduro made the announcement and he said, I am ready. I am ready to negotiate with the United States now. This was moments, basically hours before he was captured. And my first question is, how did he know? He must have known something was up. He must have had some sort of intelligence that came to him and said, they're coming for you, bub. And I'm wondering if it was that Chinese official. I'm just wondering. The reason why is because it doesn't have to be, but it could be. You know, there's a lot of things that are being prophesied. I'm going to try not to get into every single one because I don't want this to be one of those videos where I cover all of the prophetic words about what things that are coming, because we don't really know the timeline, and I'll just try to keep it. We've already shared quite a bit. You know what I mean? There's not really. But this other one that I was going to read for you was Senator Mark Kelly. Senator Mark Kelly and 5 other members of Congress released a seditious video basically intended to undermine good order and military discipline. He's a retired Navy captain. So basically they penalized him on his benefits because they said, you know, he is still receiving benefits and is under the laws that govern military officials. And so by inciting a kind of a coup against, you know, the orders of the United States, they said being a senator does not exempt him from accountability and could result in further issues against him. So that's, you know, yet another, like this administration, guys, is just killing it. And one last thing that I want to share. This was today's announcement. 72 jabs down to 11. Okay, the Trump administration has proud to announce that the United States has updated childhood vaccination schedule, and it's rooted in the gold standard of science and widely agreed upon by scientists and experts all over the world. Effective today, America will no longer require 72 jabs for our beautiful, healthy children. We are moving to a far more reasonable schedule where all children will only be recommended to receive vaccinations for 11 of the most serious and dangerous diseases. Parents, however, can still choose to give their children all the vaccinations if they wish, and they will still be covered by insurance. However, this updated schedule finally aligns the United States with other developed nations around the world. Okay, this is a big deal, guys. Okay, listen, I got a really good video that I want to share with you guys. Okay, watch this, and I'm going to get to my closing argument here. Which is really kind of, I wanted to get people caught up, number one, but then I wanted to kind of bring it home for you guys so that you can, these guys are trolling. Okay. The White House is trolling. The Department of Health and Human Services is trolling. Kennedy is trolling. These guys are just trolling. It's crazy what they're doing. Watch
the pyramid doesn't work. We've already tried it.
It's upside down.
What?
Sir, the pyramid is upside down.
Turn the pyramid upside down. You can't be serious. That would put butter and fat at the top. Flip the damn food pyramid. with the president on the phone. Tell him to have some steak with his bun.
This is so hilarious, man. You guys have heard about how they taught us about the food pyramid back in the day, and it was literally an assignment to kill us. They put, grains as the largest food intake in our entire, come on. So that video was just incredible. Now, let me talk to you about this, okay? You've got, and then they actually, I saw today that Kennedy and the Department of Health is requiring that the excess sugar be removed from our foods, that no longer are we going to just, spike or lace all of our foods with this heavily addictive and health destroying ingredient that food companies back in the day purposefully put into their brand so that it would keep us coming back like fiends and just destroying the health of our nation. So it's just like, it's breakthrough what is occurring, guys. Breakthrough. I remember Prophet Charlie Shamp releasing the word about how the spirit of pharmakia that had been ruling over this nation was about to have the witch's staff completely removed from that spirit in this country, and that the power of that thing would be broken. And so it's exciting to be here today. It's exciting to be here today, seeing what this administration is doing. They are just absolutely killing it across the board. The problem, guys, the problem is, and what I have taught for years as a deliverance minister, is that when we have a saying in the ministry that the stronghold that you confront will be the stronghold that manifests. And so whatever's still there, whatever's lurking behind the scenes in the dark, that is what is going to begin to push back. Many times deliverance, as much as many people would like it to be so purty and so clean and so, eventless, or without, issues, without, side effects, oftentimes it brings trouble. Now, God will carry us through, okay? But nonetheless, it is not always going to be an easy road. And so, though the weapons are formed, do you understand? So there can be weapons that are formed. Paul was on the boat when he was shipwrecked, and he heard by the Spirit, at least I believe, because he said Paul perceived within himself, he perceived that not a ne'er one of them was going to live, that they were all going to die. And next thing you know, they got beaten and battered and whipped and cold and wet and throwing food overboard, all these different things. Didn't eat for 2 weeks, the Bible says. And all of a sudden, the angel steps onto the scene and says, Paul, you are not going to die, and nobody else is going to die either. But you have to run ashore over here. And lo and behold, that angel stepping on the scene wasn't just a messenger of a message. It was a messenger of the salvation or the saving grace of God. So those people were going to die. But the angel came on the scene and brought protection from what was inevitable. And so my point is that though the weapon will be formed or fashioned, it will not prosper. So there can be a time of a great tempest rising, as we read about in this story. And however, and it may not be easy, because being rain battered and beaten and, wet and having to throw food overboard and going hungry. That's like we call that an involuntary fast. Okay. And so, and just to, throw the icing on the cake. Okay. Just to prove to you that I believe all of that was spiritual warfare. Just as soon as this dude, wet for weeks, cold, hungry, just as soon as he cozies up next to a warm fire, a snake, a venomous snake, comes out to bite him. Now, it didn't harm him once again, but you can see the assignment manifesting. And so the weapons, oftentimes they will be formed. We have to be in prayer, guys, because everybody's out there. They're like, that's my president, XYZ, right? Like throwing out their meme, throwing out their political weight because they're like, this is who I voted for. But at the same time, we can't become lackadaisical. We can't become complacent. We can't become ignorant of what's actually occurring and what the enemy is wanting to do behind the scenes. We need to be in prayer, guys. We need to be in prayer. So that being said, there are conflicts coming. It's being prophesied. There is an agenda of the enemy to release an EMP attack. John Paul Jackson released a word about an EMP attack coming to this country. That man of God passed away several years ago. And so there are many, especially recently, who have been saying this is, what they see coming actually very soon, or at least what the enemy is wanting to formulate. Brandon was very specific in what he saw. But regardless, guys, we need to be in prayer. But here's the thing. All right. The markets are going to be volatile. We're seeing this. You have to know what God is saying, not just now, but in the coming days. Apostle Ryan Lestrange just released a communication that said, prophecy in the coming days. He says, I can't even necessarily share it publicly anymore. He says, I feel like God is transitioning for it to go into a private setting. If you want access, here's how you can get access. He also said that we're going to have to really hear God in the coming days because of what's coming. Everybody's saying this. Every prophet of God is saying this. I also said in 2024 that in the coming days, that the people will need to follow the prophets and not the professionals. Apostle Giles said that there are going to be, cycles and patterns that people are used to seeing and expecting to occur in the markets, where the ways that have worked in the past, he says they're not going to work anymore. And you're going to have to really seek God to know what to even invest in, where to, and where not to as well. Many things are going to crash while many things are going to take off. And some of that simultaneously, and then some of that in different seasons. And we're going to have to know what seasons those are. We pretty much have grown accustomed to that, even following these XRP prophetic words, because many would have thought things would have taken off even sooner. And then when I was getting these flash crash dreams that God was giving me about that, back in April and May was my first one about that. You had people out there that were like, never, no way. There was one girl that just apparently is a problem for a lot of, ministers out there, that literally said, if anybody is telling you that there's going to be a flash crash coming, they're a false prophet. Well, unfortunately, it came. So I don't know what that makes them. I don't know. But like, my point is guys, you have to be diligent in this season. Be diligent in this season. We cannot be flipping. You've got Cuba. Cuba is trying to entangle themselves in this. Cuba's trying to entangle themselves into this whole Venezuelan thing. I think Colombia as well. And so, there's just a lot going on. There's connections, obviously, to China, to Russia. There's just so much going on, guys. And a lot of malicious, dark. Somebody said today that a minister has some sort of insider information and said that that there was actually weapons found on that tanker and that there was actually no oil. I don't know about all that. And that's a heavy claim, especially when, there's no news reports to back it up. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that, it's very, I can't say it with weight. Okay. I can't say it with weight. It was said by somebody who said somebody else said it, that somebody else said it. You know what I mean? So there's nothing that I can give you to back that claim, but I'm just sharing it with you in the event that, is it within the realm of possibility? Of course, that's why I'm saying it. So there's a lot going on, guys. The world is on eggshells right now. And so just be aware, be diligent, be prayerful, and allow your soul to come back to the place of being a little level-headed, so that you're not out there, with your head in the clouds, not recognizing what is actually at stake here. We can get so captivated in this kind of delirium, because we're, making it all about, our president, political, and all these different things, or it's this flu is just the common cold. The flu's always been around. Man, I can't stand these people. They have no idea which way is up sometimes in the realm of the spirit. There is dark agendas occurring. Okay. I remember when Charlie Shamp had a prophetic word in 2018. And he said, I see men in white lab coats filled with the darkest evil. And he says, I see them trying to manipulate a biological, mutation to release upon mankind. What do you think that was in 2 years later, right? So I follow the word of God. I follow the prophets of God, and then I follow the voice of God. And so what God is speaking, that's what I want to share. That's what I want you guys, not just to hear from me, but I implore you to begin to, if I drop a name, okay, Prophet Madeline James, Apostle Jonathan Stidham, Prophet Charlie Shamp, Apostle Joshua Giles, if I drop the name, go begin to follow them, begin to, glean from them. Crypto Genealogy says we don't need to wear masks with this new flu. I don't really care. That's my point. There are certain things that I do not want to get in. I don't want to have an opinion about it. That's my point. I'm not your doctor, and I'm not your mom or your dad either. And so if you decide to wear a mask, I need to shut my mouth is what I need to do, because it's your life. And that's the thing, is these opinionated things need to go out the window. Especially if we are going to be able to steward the coming days, and we're going to be in the place where we're going to need each other. We're going to need each other more than we've ever needed each other before, guys. Not in our generation. It's going to look like nothing we've ever seen in our generation, guys. Nothing. So, anyhow, well, that's fine. That's fine. My point, though, is that it's kind of like what Trump said, where Trump said, it's where he said, that the 72 jabs are turning into 11. And he's like, the parents can still elect to get them, but we are just not going to make it, part of the United States panel of recommendations, right? And so it's the same thing. Like this is, Jogging Tree says masks hardly do anything from viruses. Guys, why are we doing this? Didn't I just say like we need to get away from this nonsense? Listen, you could say all you want. I mean, honestly, the argument can be said both ways, because you and I both know that if you sneeze, that why do your parents tell you to cover your mouth? Is there going to be some that escapes? Sure. But do you think it's safer than snotting everywhere? Probably. Like, who cares, guys? Leave the people alone. Like, who cares? Get over yourselves. Leave these people alone. I'm not wearing a mask. But if anybody else does, who cares? Like, what is going on with America, man? Leave these people alone. Okay? Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh my gosh. So anyhow, as far as I'm going to lose some viewers right away. I'm telling you, because it doesn't really matter. I'm probably going to gain some because they're going to be like, that's the first time I've heard anybody actually say something that made any sense, but other people are going to be like, I don't care. I still think it's, blah, blah, blah. If you have no discernment, if you think masks are beneficial. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Which, by the way, that's so funny, man. Guys, people are crazy. All right. So anyway, there is a link in the description section, guys, if you want to be part of my private community. That's where I'm talking about crypto stuff. I'm not really doing a lot of that here. I did mention a little bit about the markets today. I don't, now that I can have sympathy for sure. Said I was a bit mask phobic after living with mask mandates for 2 years in Oregon. That stinks, man. That stinks. That's not what I'm referring to. When you have a personal, a person making a personal choice, that's very different than a mandate. That's very different than a mandate. However, like I said, I still, we say in our church a little bit of Jesus. I'm sorry, a lot of Jesus and a little bit of hand sanitizer. You know what I mean? Just as a way to articulate the fact that we still will take supplements. We'll still take vitamins. We still believe in trying to take care of your health. Not, like as the prophets are saying, stay away from phlegm producing or mucus producing foods, all these different things, right? We believe in that. And so, so throwing wisdom out the window is not what I'm a fan of. And I've seen people do it. I'll be honest with you. I saw people in 2020 post on Facebook. They were a staunch, like COVID was just the regular common cold. And they were fighting for their life in the hospital. I know one person almost died. He was in the hospital and he was posting, and I was just like, oh man, this guy is just way too opinionated. And I never engaged with him, but I was just repulsed by his stuff. So it's probably, I just, snoozed him for 30 days or whatever. But the next thing you know, he was in the hospital fighting for his life. I'm like, ay. And it's crazy. And unfortunately, it was a person who was, I'm not even going to go there. But it just bothers me. It bothers me because, our opinions is not what's going to be important on the day that a pandemic or because the prophets are saying this next one's going to be way worse, guys. Way worse. So my question is this flu that what they've been prophesying? I don't know. Maybe they're just testing the waters. Oh, speaking of which, Prophet MJ, she had in her prophecy, she had said that there would be viruses that would look similar. Hold on. Oh, look at this. This is interesting. Forgot about this. No, they didn't get the jab. Oh, wait, you're not talking to me, maybe. No, I think you're talking to somebody else. Prophet MJ said, whoops, wrong one. She did prophesy about fires, and Prophet Charlie Shamp. That's another thing I wanted to say. Prophet Charlie Shamp said that he saw 2025 would be a year of blood and of fire. However, sometimes prophetic timelines or timing can be off. And so I believe that that's still to come, but it wasn't necessarily 2025 because here is Prophet MJ saying, on a dream on Christmas morning, I was being driven around in a car to cities where I saw certain structures and buildings, sporting venues being deliberately set on fire, or something sparked the fire. These fires were intended to affect the economy of these cities. Another scene, I was still in the car and I was looking out the horizon and saw it glowing orange. I turned to my driver and said, Florida is on fire. I began to study more into this dream and ask some prophetic friends, and I didn't even know Florida has wildfires. Apparently, going into 2026, most of Florida is experiencing some measure of drought, the most since 2000. Let's keep these things in prayer as we move into 2026. She's actually referring to me in this post because she had messaged me and I had told her that I had a dream about fires in Florida. And she was like, whoa. And whoops, I just somehow removed. But that's what she was talking about. And then I had sent her the article of Florida, the majority of the state being in a drought. And so, yes. However, there was something else I wanted to share with you. Oh, that's what it is right here. On January 2nd, this is what I was just basically the reason for making this video. She says 2026 is the year for the watchmen to arise, watch, pray, and declare. Okay? Listen, I'm telling you, we have to be deliberate that our soul doesn't get caught up in the political divisiveness. That's my president. This is who I voted for, blah, blah, blah. When God is actually calling us to not just watch the news tabloids for today, but to watch in the spirit for what's coming tomorrow, the coming weeks, the coming months, and to begin to pray. And if you don't see in the future, for example, then honor what the prophets of God are speaking. Prophet Charlie Shamp said in 2018, when he saw these white men in lab coats, he said, "It is my belief that if the church would pray, we could stop what is coming." Do you know how many people probably never took that seriously? Because, like, what were they expecting? Like what? Like, oh, it's some little city somewhere in no man's land is going to get hit with a virus, apparently. No. And so, well, they're planning more, and we need to pray. We cannot be complacent. All right. Now I'm going to scroll down further because I'm looking for something. There it is. Here it is. This is what I was looking for on her post. I had it up earlier but I was closing out all the tabs. And this is what she had said. Things to pray for in 2026. The economy, Trump's health, war is at the door. Pray for America. Here it is. Similar and new viruses being released. Similar and new viruses being released. There was another prophet that I think they said there would be 4 viruses or at the same time or whatever. But here's my point. This is where people are going to get so caught off guard. Because, for example, let's just say a new variant of COVID comes out that is like a super killer. You're going to have people that are still those adamant, arrogant people from 2020 that we all saw that are going to be like, what? The common cold? And they're going to be completely foolish. You have to respect the battle. Even someone who is a person of faith never denies the present threat. Even Jesus said in the scriptures, when he commissioned his disciples, he says, "I give you authority over all of the power of the enemy." Jesus is the one that actually told us that Satan has power. So what good is authority if you're not even willing to recognize the power that is being forged against you? That's why the Bible says our shield of faith. Your shield, your faith, that's what I'm trying to get to someday. Your faith actually has to be applied. How can you apply it if you're ignoring the threat? You have to confront the threat. I just taught on this last night, ironically. And I talked about the seducing spirits of the last days, as the Bible says, that will deceive even the elect if that were possible, that are come to tickle people's ears with all the, manipulative teachings that try to tell you, you don't have to worry about nothing, get you to be a passive, complacent Christian. That's it. And so, anyhow, I am going to end this broadcast at this point, guys. If you want to be a part of my private community, the link is in the description section below. Outside of that, you need to be a person of faith. Additionally, the glory of God is going to be poured out in the midst of it all, guys. I have to tell you, the glory of God is going to be poured out in the midst of it all. There are prophetic words about those people of faith that are going to keep their homes when others are losing them, because they'll open them up for the glory of God. There are prophetic words about God producing food supernaturally, manifesting food supernaturally, because we're going to be in the midst of a famine in the coming days. These things are coming. The timeline of all of them could be even at different times. We don't know what's coming first and all these different things. And but also we want to remember that we are going to do everything we can to pray against much of what is coming. It doesn't mean that we're going to be spared from everything. However, we can minimize things and even call forth deliverance over our towns, our cities, our families, as we begin to intercede for these things, in the midst of these things, in light of these prophetic words. So that being said, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Like I said, inside my private community, the link's in the description. I do not have the monthly option anymore. And the reason for that is because it makes no sense. I had people coming in, they would pay for a month and then they would leave. Like the whole point is like, there's going to be months that there's going to be quieter. And then there's months that it's going to be like ramped up. And I would never want somebody to get, all that juice, all the good stuff in 1 month, and then just dip out. Like there's no honor there. Like I want it just for people who are serious about running with us. That's it. Simple as that. Guys, I appreciate you being a part of these channels. Yeah. That's a good word. We have to take our health serious now so that our bodies can withstand the adverse effects of the virus. Avoid junk food, highly processed food, sugary drinks, and eat whole foods and exercise. Amen. You can't actually rebuke a famine per se. In fact, you can definitely pray, like I said, but this famine is one of the things that is actually expected to come. It's prophesied to come. And even in the book of Acts, I teach on this too. People have this kind of false mindset that we can kind of just do whatever we want. But being a Christian is actually about following what he says he wants. And if he says a famine's coming, well, it's going to come. And we can ask and intercede and, petition and God can change through those things. However, in the book of Acts, the Bible says, and this is like the most supernatural book of the Bible, right? It says that several prophets came from Jerusalem, and one of them, Agabus, prophesied of a famine that was coming. And it says that the church, in response to that prophetic word, they prepared. And so, like, once again, this was the most supernatural book of the Bible, and so the prophet prophesied of what was coming, and the prophecy was the insight for the people to be prepared for when it came. And that's the blessing of the Lord. And so there are many prophets who have been prophesying to stock up, use wisdom, rebuke the famine if you wish, but use wisdom, right? That's about it, guys. Blessings to each and every person. Once again, it's about what God says, not about what doctrine says. We need to hear the voice of God. The doctrine points us to his voice. The Bible says the Holy Spirit will lead you into all truth. So we have to hear his voice. God bless each and every one of you. Take care.